the June 1st.
That's the end of the 100 days? Okay. We'll check in then.
Okay.
So,
fits anything.
Namanda, 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 Namanda. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Dharma family service. We would like to begin with Sutra chanting, and we will chant Juseige, which is on page 23 in the small purple book and page 93 in the large purple book. And we'll have the words on the screen if you're online. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Gagon chosegan hishi mujodo shigan fumanzok seifu joshogak gao muryoko Fui dai se shu, fusai shobingu, seifu joshogak, gashi jobutsudo, myosho chojippo, Gyokyo Mishomon Seifu Joshogak Ryokujin Shonen Joe Shubongyo Shigumu Jodo Isho tenin shi Jinniki endai ko Fushomu saido Shoujo sankumyo Kosai shuyakunan Kai ichi egen meshi kon mo an hei soku sho akudo tsudatsu zen shumon koso jo manzok Iyoro jippo Nichigatsu shujuki Tenko onpugen Ishukai hozo Koseku dokuho Jodai shichu Seppo shishiku Kuyo isai butsu Gusoku shutoku hon Ganne shitsu joman Tokui sangai yo Nyobutsu mugechi Tsudatsu mi fusho Gangaku erik Toshi sai shoson Shiganya koka Daisen o kando kokusho tenin to chin myo ke namandabu 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 gam nishikudoku byodo se isai dohoten bodaishin ojo an dakok. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Okay, next let's recite the three treasures, and that's in the small purple book on page 3.
Because
Page 3.
I'm not aware of anybody.
Oh,
Still,
and the control room needs to mute.
yeah. But when people come in,
Control
then
room mute, please.
check them off or kind of go
Yeah,
through.
because there were
Oh, well.
there were quite a few people at times,
Okay, the three treasures.
Yes.
Hard is it to be born into
But
human
always
life,
get
now we are living it.
one person
Difficult
is
is it to hear the Buddha Dharma, now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there, we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in
Well, I can
Buddha.
control that.
May we all together
First time we did it,
absorb
we tried to
into
pull the
ourselves
words ahead
the
of time,
principle of your way to enlightenment
You had to
and awaken
find
in
the
ourselves
order,
your
and
supreme
we had
will.
by name, age,
I
and
take
speech.
refuge in Dharma.
And we realized
May we all
didn't
together
have all
be
the same
submerged
thing,
in the
so we just
depth of
say,
the
okay,
doctrine
came,
and
dude,
gain
go
wisdom
shoot the
as
bag,
deep
hand
as
it
the
to you.
ocean.
Versus trying to
I
find the
take
one with
refuge
your name
in
on it. These
Sangha.
are all,
May we all together become units in true accord in
Later
your
on,
life
we
of
had
harmony
time that
in a
we
spirit
started,
of universal
then you can start
oneness,
pulling.
freed from the bondage
yeah,
of
at the beginning,
selfishness.
we only
Even through myriad
together
ages
the
of
big-
kalpas, hard is it to
you know,
hear
big
such an
ones,
excellent,
large.
profound, and
And
wonderful
you can actually
doctrine.
put
Now we are
the
able to
bottom are
hear
1
and
two
receive
orders.
it.
You could
Let
have
us
a 3
thoroughly
bag,
understand the
1,
true
2,
meaning of the
occasionally
Tathagata's
2. Just
teaching.
grab a 2 bag and hand it to you. Doesn't
Namo
matter.
Amida Butsu.
Right.
Namo Amida
Yeah, like they say
Butsu.
CBC
Namo
and
Amida
Concord, there
Butsu.
would be like
Namanda,
six separate-
Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Okay, thank you. I'm doing 3 things at once up here. Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to deliver the Dharma message now. I guess I can wish you a happy Easter if you celebrate Easter. I almost forgot, but today is Easter. And so I see Easter as 2 things, right? There's kind of 2 aspects to Easter. One is the Christian one, right? Resurrection of Jesus Christ, roll away the rock and right, it goes up. The other is kind of renewal and rebirth coming from winter into spring, right? And so with that, we get bunny rabbits and eggs. Maybe even Cadbury cream eggs, maybe Reese's eggs, I don't know. But, right, that there's kind of 2 aspects to Easter. It's kind of like Christmas, right? Christmas with the birth of Jesus Christ and Santa Claus, right? And so kind of interesting aspect of our American culture where we have these holidays that have these kind of multiple meanings, right? Multiple aspects. So for me, when I think, because I'm not Christian, if you're Christian, fine, right? And you can, I want to appreciate and respect your beliefs, but I'm not. And so I think of Easter as more the springtime, right? And I kind of appreciate it for that. And so we did our spring service. When did we do that? Last week? Was it only a week ago? Right? The equinox. So in our school of Buddhism, in Japanese Buddhism, the spring, the vernal, and the autumnal equinox are important times, right? And so that's when day and night are equal. And so we had our Ohigan service last week, right? This Ohigan, meaning the other shore. So I thought I would kind of continue that theme a little bit and talk about another story of the other shore. So last week, we talked about maybe the two rivers and the white path, right? That there's a traveler and he comes across this raging river of one side is fire, one side is water, and he needs to get to the other shore because it's dangerous where he is. And he's being chased by bandits and chased by wild beasts, right? But then a voice calls from the other shore, "No, come, walk, there's a white path. Walk that white path and you'll come to my other shore." And even from his side, he hears a voice saying, "Yes, trust in the Buddha and walk that path." But there's an earlier story in Buddhism that is told by Shakyamuni Buddha. It's found in the Pali Canon, so it's a story from like Theravada Buddhism. And it's similar, it's really similar. So there's someone walking around, it's kind of dangerous where he is, not comfortable, and he comes to a river. And he sees on the other side is another shore. And that shore looks peaceful, calm. He feels, I have to get over there. So he makes a raft. Okay, and so he starts collecting sticks and collecting wood and that kind of thing. And he puts together a raft, gets on the raft, rides across the river, and reaches the other shore. And so here's the funny part. He takes the raft, he likes the raft, right? He built it and everything, and it carried him. So he puts it on his back, or some versions, he puts it on his head, and now he's walking around on the other shore carrying around his raft. Right? So that story is kind of a famous Buddhist story. I don't think I've ever talked about it as a minister. I remember reading about it when I was younger, a young student of Buddhism, right? And so I thought, oh yeah, so I'm going to talk about that. And then I realized, what the heck does this story mean? Right? Why is this guy walking around with the raft on his head? And so I think there's different ways to understand this story. One, the main version actually has another story. Is it a simile? Is it a metaphor? If he says it's like this, right, then I think it's a simile. But if he just tells it, then it's a metaphor, right? That's technical English kind of thing, right? English language. But it's like a story to illustrate a point. And so first, there's someone who needs a water snake. And so they go to grab the water snake. And if they grab it unskillfully, like by the tail, then it turns around and bites him in the arm, right? And he can get sick and even die. But if you grab it skillfully, and I'm not recommending you grab water snakes because I don't know the skillful way to do this, presumably grab it near the head, right? And then it won't bite you. So you're grasping this thing either properly or improperly, correctly or incorrectly. And if you grasp it incorrectly, it can cause damage. So the snake is the Dharma. The snake is the teachings of the Buddha. And if you misunderstand it, grasp it incorrectly, then you're going to be in trouble. And then he goes on to give the story of the raft and crossing over to the other shore. So then I guess the question could become, what you're supposed to do is you're not supposed to carry the raft around once you get to the other shore. The raft was something to get you to the other shore. Now you can put it down. You can discard it. So what are you supposed to discard? Right? And that's kind of one of the difficult aspects of this story. So if you want to go online, you can read articles about it. There's all kinds of articles online from different perspectives. You can read the actual translation, right, from the Pali. There's a couple of websites that I like to use that have really accurate translations into English, and they have notes too, but usually from a Theravada perspective. Right? Theravada is a certain kind of Buddhism, right? It's found in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Burma, United States, all over the world. We're a Mahayana school, right, which is different, right? Our Buddhism also came out of India, right, but spread and really flourished in China, Korea, Vietnam, Japan, and throughout the world. Right? Tibetan Buddhism has all three, actually. They consider themselves to have the Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana, the esoteric. Right? So realize, I'm going to come to this later, there's many different kinds of Buddhism. Right? That's a key point. So the way I'm going to interpret this story is with something called upaya, or in Japanese, hoben, or in English, skillful means. Okay, let's stick with skillful means. Okay, so skillful means, what the heck does that mean, right? But it's the way that Buddha teaches. That Buddha is said to be the ultimate teacher. Okay? So that Buddha can teach in all these different ways, and then each one is perfect for the person listening. And that's actually how Buddha taught. Right? Buddha didn't stand up from, he awakens under the Bodhi tree and then go out and tell people, okay, here it is, 10 points you need, here are your 10 points, I'm giving you all these 10 points, or 50 points, or however many, 1 point. Instead, after he achieves enlightenment, people come to Buddha asking questions. And each person has a different issue. Each person has different problems. So Buddha tells each person exactly what they need to hear. Fortunately, his cousin Ananda is standing next to him, memorizing everything, right? And then recites these teachings after Buddha dies so that people will remember. Right? So it's said that, we collect all these teachings of the Buddha. They're kind of like his sermons, but they're not sermons like this when I'm talking to you, right? They're sermons when he's asked a question and he responds. And so they're almost like answers to various questions. So that's one of the reasons why there's so many kinds of Buddhism, because he gave so many different teachings. Right? And that was kind of the job of Buddhists for hundreds of years, was to remember this stuff and kind of categorize it, right? Put it into different categories so that they could understand what he was talking about and maybe pull the right one for the right situation, hopefully. Right? And then different schools have different versions, right? What's important. New teachings evolve later on, and Mahayana kind of evolves later after the Buddha passes away. But this is what Buddha's skillful means is, okay? That it's not just one dogma. It's not just one thing that I can just tell you one thing and that's it. It's a bunch of different teachings to answer different questions. Later on, it develops, each school kind of takes what they think is most important and they bring that forward. So, to me, right, so this upaya, right, this idea of this teaching skillfully. And I think sometimes people feel like, we can do that. I can do upaya. Can I not do that? Right? And maybe when it seemed like I was mean to you, I was using upaya, right? I was being mean to help teach you. Right? But I want to let you know, in Jodo Shinshu, it's understood, we don't have that ability. I don't have that ability to magically know what you need and to be able to do anything and tell you, it's upaya. Don't worry, I'm teaching you. I'm the teacher. Right? That for us, we understand only the Buddha has this ability. Okay? So I just want to make that clear, because there are kind of abuses in Buddhism sometimes, and often it's under this guise of upaya, right? And people can do harmful things in the name of upaya, right? I don't want to do that. That's kind of not built into our kind of Buddhism. So, what are upaya for us? Right? And the reason why there is upaya, but given by Buddha. Okay? And the reason for this is because in Buddhism, the point of Buddhism is to get to that other shore. right? To get to the other shore. The other shore is enlightenment. The other shore is the Pure Land for us. Right? And so last week we kind of mentioned that this, where I'm standing, so I'm repeating myself from last week here, but the shape of this room has the other shore built into it. And so the other shore implies this shore, right? That this shore is not awakening, not enlightenment, samsara, right? The land of foolishness and the three poisons, right? And that we want to get to the other shore. So where you are is this shore. From my perspective, it's that shore, because I'm up here in this shore, the other shore, right? But so where I'm standing represents the Pure Land, represents enlightenment, right? That's why Buddha is up here. Our esteemed teachers, Shinran here behind me, Renyo on the other side, right? You can see the birds that preach the Dharma. There's dragons. There's the kind of lion dogs. There's elephants. There's all kinds of stuff up here, kind of representing nirvana, representing the Pure Land. And where we normally sit, you normally sit, right, is considered samsara. Right? So you can kind of see this dynamic, right, of this shore of samsara and wanting to get to this other shore of enlightenment. So I think for us, what are some of those upaya? And one of them is good acts, doing good deeds, trying to be good, being filial to your parents, right? Respecting your parents, respecting elders, following the rules. Right? That we could put all that kind of doing good things, right, is part of our Buddhism, actually. Right? It's recommended in the Contemplation Sutra, and so this idea of doing good things, I think, is part of Buddhism, right? And good things, what is good things? I think it's trying to help others, if you just break it down, right? Doing bad things is harming others, hurting other people. Doing good things is trying to help others. And so that's part of our Buddhism, actually, I think. But it's not the top, because it's really hard to help others as we wish. I keep repeating Reverend Dr. Seigen, the late Reverend Dr. Seigen Yamaoka's words. Life doesn't always go as we wish. Sometimes difficult things happen to us, right? That's an aspect of samsara. Also, when we try to help others, we can't always help others as we wish. That's Shinran. Right? And so if doing good deeds is the way to the Pure Land, then if I can't do good deeds, or if I'm not always doing good deeds, I'm not going to get there. So that's an upaya. Right? It's one of the rafts that maybe we end up letting go of. Another one is self-power nembutsu. Right? So we say Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, that's the nembutsu. Right? And if we're just saying it because I think I'm supposed to say it, or I'm saying it because I'm trying to say it really hard, right? Or saying it not really knowing what I'm doing, right? That this kind of self-power nembutsu. We do it, it's okay. It's okay to say nembutsu and self-power, right? But that's, again, not the ultimate for us. So that's another upaya that for Shinran, it comes down to other power, nembutsu and shinji. So that other, right, the other shore of nirvana, other power, the power of Amida Buddha. Right? And that, when we open up to that other power, when we open up to this, then that's the true nembutsu just comes out. One thing that people kind of don't like, I think, is the other power, that other language. Right? Because it looks like, oh, you're out there, I'm up here, we're separate, right? We're not part of this. But one important thing to know is that from Buddha's perspective, it's all one. Right? There actually is no distinction. It's kind of contradictory, because for me, there is a distinction. Because even though I'm standing up here, I'm just kind of representing. Right? I'm not actually enlightened. I'm not an enlightened being. Right? I'm a foolish being myself, and my normal spot is down in samsara. Right? But wearing the robes, having been ordained, I'm qualified to be up here. Right? Preaching the Dharma, trying to preach the Dharma, coming from the Buddha. Right? And so, from my perspective, Buddha is other. Right? That I'm not Buddha. It's something other than me. But Shinran's pretty clear that from Buddha's perspective, it's all one. There's no separation. It's this oneness. And so Yamaoka Sensei would also say, Butsubon Ittai. Buddha and I are one. Right? That actually Buddha embracing me, whether I know it or not. And I'm one with Buddha. Buddha is one with me. Buddha is one with each one of us. Right? That we're all connected in this way. So it's kind of a difficult topic, right? And I apologize. Like I've been planning on doing it since Wednesday. Actually, I've been planning on doing it for a few weeks. The story of the Raft, right? And I even put it in the constant contact. And maybe I should the constant contact email. Did anyone see the email? Okay, one person. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't worry about the email so much. Okay, 2 people. I was like, I put it in the email. I have to talk about it. So was anyone like excited for the Raft story? Okay, 1 person, good. So I hope I didn't. I probably didn't live up to expectations. But it was because like I thought I knew what it was. So this is interesting too. I hope. Maybe the 2 shouldn't be on there. I thought I knew what the story meant, but I actually had no idea, right? And so this story that I thought I knew from because I've been studying Buddhism now for 30 years, 35 years, right? And so I remember this story from 30 years ago, hearing that story and thinking, oh yeah, I understand that. And then coming back to it, right, and trying to look at this story and realizing, what the heck is he talking about? What is this story about? The story actually has even more than I told you about with the simile of the snake and the raft. There's more before that, and there's more after, but it doesn't fit Shinshu, so I didn't go into it. But having to dig into that story. And I think that's kind of one of the difficulties of Buddhism, too. There are all these different stories, right? And so how do we engage with those stories? And so finally, I realized, you know what? I'm not going to try and tell you all the possible meanings, right? But then I have to try and understand the story for myself. Have I grasped the snake skillfully? Right? Did I get stung? I hope I didn't sting you. But to think about the stories, to be open to realizing I don't understand. Maybe I don't know what this is about. But I want to try to understand it. I actually spoke yesterday at Berkeley Buddhist Temple at something called Meeting the Moment, which was about what's happening in Palestine. It's stated from the context of how do we survive and understand genocide. Right? And so there were 4 speakers. I was one of the panelists. Right? And I went into it like, why did I say yes to this? What have I agreed to? What am I doing here? Shouldn't they have had someone else? Shouldn't they have had someone who knows more? Because the other 3 one is a Palestinian professor, right? So he's connected to his whole entire life. And the other 2 are activists that you actually may have seen, Reverend Michael Yoshi and Rabbi Lin, right, who spoke here actually when we did our banner raising, right? And so, I thought I better go last, and then at the end I was like, why did I go last? It's like this is like the amazing, powerful presentations. I was like, But then I realized that was my role, maybe, to not know, but to try and understand. Right? So that I realized what I need to do is listen. Listen to what they're talking about. But I think also as a Buddhist, what I need to do is think. Right? To try and pull things apart and try and understand. And not just accept it because they're telling me and they seem more qualified than me, but to be willing also to be critical. Right? To try and think things through. So I still have questions. I feel like I have a deeper understanding of the history of why we're in this horrible moment now. Right? And it really does seem like, I can't say a turning point because things are kind of turning, but not really, right? That this is one of those events that will go down in history. Right? It's not an easy thing to address, but I will say, we have our banner, which is, I can't even remember what it is, permanent, love demands permanent ceasefire now. Right? I think that's the wording of our banner, right? Love demands permanent ceasefire now. So you can go out and see it after, right? And so it has Palestinian colors on it, right? And so I think some people may feel like it's taking a side, and I realize, you know what, I am taking a side. But the side I'm taking on is against war. It's against people hurting other people because they might have deeply held beliefs, but if hatred is part of it, then I'm on the side against that. Right? I have to be on the side against hatred. I have to be on the side against war against defenseless people. Right? But still listening, still trying to pay attention. Right? I don't think it's right to just put it out of my mind. Although I put a lot out of my mind, and I have to be honest about that too. Right? There's a lot going on in the world, right? And it's really, I think it's maybe impossible to deeply feel every single thing that's happening to everyone. And yet, this question is, I think, a really, really, it's such a horrifying issue, right? That I think there's one aspect of wanting to turn away and just put it out of our minds. And another one is to go deeply into it and be an activist and fight that too. I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle, right? I'm not out in the streets personally, but I appreciate when other people are. I think we've seen the effects of a lot of the demonstrations, and we're seeing a turn, of not accepting this. But I also can't accept racism in any direction. Right? And I worry about anti-Semitism and what this is bringing up for a lot of people too. So, forget the Raft story. Let's listen, right? When we hear something, when we see something, injustice, let's listen, try and pay attention. Right? And so that to me is wisdom, from the wisdom side of the Buddha, aspiring for that wisdom. And on the compassion side, right, is to realize when people are being hurt, maybe we should pay attention, right? And that maybe we'll even feel, this isn't right. I have to try and help somehow. Right? But maybe even listening and paying attention and being willing to speak about it, right, is a way to help. It is helping, right, to bring some connection to it, some attention to it. So those wisdom and compassion, I think, are things that would never be tossed away as like the raft, right? That those are for us what we aspire to. That's what's coming to us through the Nembutsu and through the Buddha's wisdom and compassion. So why don't we conclude with Gassho, the Dharma talk. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo. Did we pick a Gatha?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to sing Gatha Arigatai, which is in the blue binder. Oh.
We always task you with an effort to try to find something that captures the Dharma message. So hopefully as you sing the lyrics here, it will capture some of the intent of these Dharma messages.
It's under A. It's alphabetical. For plants and animals that nourish us. Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nam 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 nam. Okay, just a few announcements. Downstairs, when you go down the stairs on the right, you'll see a little table, and it's got a whole bunch of the Nichibei magazine, like the spring issue. So feel free to grab one of those. And there's also a yellow piece of paper with a save the date for our bazaar, which will be in June on Father's Day weekend on that Saturday. And then on the back, there's some of our upcoming events. And so we have our Hanamatsuri is next Sunday. Excited about that. We'll have the baby Buddha, and you get to bathe baby Buddha. And so come a little early, 9:30, we can start bathing Buddha by yourself. And then we'll have our service at 10 with our special guest speaker, Reverend Blake Honda. Reverend Blake is a newly ordained Shin ministerial aspirant. And so he'll be a kaikyoshi, hopefully within a year or two, as soon as possible. And so we're excited to have him as our guest speaker next week. There will be a study class on Saturday, April 20th, and I'm trying to look at Buddha. I have on here Buddha and art, but I'm also thinking kind of Buddha and art and music and more maybe. And then in May, we're going to have a really special guest, our bishop, Reverend Marvin Harada. And so he's going to be here. He's going to do a study class on May 11th. It's a Saturday, Resolving Life's Problems Through Buddhism. And then we're going to have the Kieshiki affirmation ceremony. We got to send an email out about that. This is where you affirm you're taking refuge in the three treasures. I know we said it today and we say it a lot, but this is kind of like an official ceremony to do that and receive a Buddhist name. And so if you're interested, applications are available. Please either see me today or email or call the office and we can send you the application form. That'll be at 9 a.m. So we'll do that here, and then 10 a.m. we'll have our Gotane service doing Shinran Shonin's birthday. So all three of those events will be with Reverend Harada. I'm really excited to finally have him here speaking to us. And so grab one of these, and you can put the dates on your calendar. Anything else you want to? What's that? Oh yeah, there's a film called Carving the Divine, which is about carving Buddha images. And so that's going to be at Alameda. If you're interested, contact the office this week. They're going to have a lunch over at Alameda Temple. So we'll go to Alameda Temple if a whole bunch of people want to go, right? And we can have lunch there and then watch the movie. And so that's a neat film. I've seen little bits and pieces of it. It's not Jodo Shinshu, but it is this Japanese Buddhist tradition of carving Buddhist statues, and it's pretty intense. We have our pet memorial next month too. Lots going on, so check the website and the Bushin, and I think that's pretty good. So we can conclude our Dharma family service with Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Okay, thank you.